A dog's bite, a mother's fight, and a nose that doctors said could not be saved. In the chaos of the night, doctors told her mother, there's nothing we can do. The tissue was dying and hope was slipping away. But then a friend mentioned one last chance, hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Within 20 minutes, the impossible began to happen. The tissue started to heal, the color returning to her skin. The unimaginable in real time. Now Lucy and her mom are here to share how one mother's fight and one groundbreaking therapy gave her daughter's face a second chance. Hello everyone and welcome to Message Meg. I'm Meg Farris. Today we're going to show you a treatment that saved a little girl's nose when it was bitten off by a dog. But it's a treatment that many doctors aren't taught in medical school. Yet it's been around for almost 400 years. You're going to see the remarkable outcome of little Lucy that almost never happened without persistence from her mom. But first, let's look back. 5-year-old Lucy Nadler was playing with her sister at her uncle's house, and his docile Labrador nipped at her face and took off part of her nose.
Luckily, they thought to look for her nose on the floor, and luckily they found it, and they put it in a glass of ice, and we transported it to Children's Hospital.
In the OR for 3 hours, surgeons reattached it.
And then we took her home with a near 0% expected probability that that composite graft would survive because it had no blood flow, and because this has never really historically ever been reported.
By the next day, it began to die. Lucy's mother, Dr. Jen Erbel, is a rheumatologist in Baton Rouge and asked physician colleagues for advice. Many said there was nothing. Lucy would need months, maybe years of reconstruction from forehead skin later on. But a friend mentioned the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Time was of the essence. She turned to Harch Hyperbarics in Metairie.
And the grafted tissue pinked up within about 20 minutes of hyperbarics. We became very hopeful, and we could see it was getting blood flow.
Lucy went into the tank daily for a month, sometimes twice a day, and every 3 hours at home, Dr. Erbel used a home oxygen concentrator.
The hyperbaric treatment then not only oxygenates it, we're growing new blood vessels into the tissue. And that's what takes time. This is unprecedented. This has never been achieved.
Dr. Harch is also using hyperbarics to heal people who've gone through other types of surgery, whether it's medical or cosmetic surgery. Like, for instance, in a facelift, he's found that it dramatically reduces the inflammation, increases blood flow, and they heal much more quickly. Lucy's scars will likely fade in a year. If not, she can get laser treatments to help. Now, Dr. Erbel wants her fellow doctors to learn the value of hyperbaric oxygen.
It's astonishing to me, the benefits of hyperbaric medicine. As a physician, I was not aware of the role of hyperbarics. We are not taught this in medical school. This is severely underutilized. And 5-year-old Lucy Nadler is here with her mom, Dr. Jen Erbel, who is a Baton Rouge rheumatologist. And welcome to both of you. Let's start where you left off in that story. They're not teaching this in all medical schools, and I've read where it may not even be in residency, but it may even be in a fellowship afterwards. Why?
I don't know. I have had minimal exposure to being educated about hyperbaric oxygen therapy in my medical training. And that's why I didn't think of it after this incident happened to Lucy months ago. It was a colleague and the director of the Tulane Plastic Surgery Department who we're friends with also, and who mentioned it to me, luckily.
And the doctors who did an incredible job to stitching it back on said this skin's probably not going to take. Yes. I mean, I wonder how many, have you heard of other stories since our story aired of people who have lost some skin or something from?
Since our story has aired, as a physician, I have identified so many people in my own practice as a rheumatologist that I have sent for hyperbaric oxygen therapy. People that I would have never considered, this form of therapy had this incident not happened to me. Because we're not taught about it, and it's generally not a widely supported form of treatment. And there are many reasons, I believe, that that's the case.
And Lucy, I see you smiling. You look really good. What do you think about everything you've been through? Everything, your nose looks beautiful. Was it scary when you went through all the treatments? Or no, it wasn't. And I would think, Mom, for a child being in the chamber, but I know Dr. Hart, who we're going to talk to later, they'll bring parents in with the child when children are being treated in that chamber, and you just rest for the hour or so.
It was very enjoyable, I have to say. It was demanding to get her to sit still, but she by no means was unhappy. She loved every session, I believe.
So after you went through all the sessions, and I know you went through sessions at home too, she ended up needing laser to get rid of the scar. The nose was healed, but there were scars. So you saw a dermatologist who said, do what?
Well, initially, after she completed her hyperbaric oxygen sessions, she looked perfect. To be honest with you, she had barely any scars at all. And as the weeks progressed, I saw some severe scarring developing and intranasal scarring too, which was causing some stenosis of her nostril.
Okay, so let's explain to people that's inside the nose was getting over-scarred, if you will, and it was causing it to kind of tighten up, and the skin was puckering. Is that a good way to describe it?
It was completely closing her left nostril where she had the damage.
Okay.
And it was closing to the point it would have been irreversible, and it was even deforming her nostril. And I became very worried about it and did hours of research during the night trying to find out what to do about her scarring, because apparently scarring in childhood is different from scarring in an adult. And it progressively worsens up to month 6 or even month 12, and then hopefully regresses beyond that.
Is that because their system works so much better than an adult that it's making too much scar tissue, maybe?
I believe so.
Okay. And so you found the doctor who we'll be speaking to in Miami, and tell me about that.
Yes, I researched so many hours trying to figure out the best combination of the best therapy to treat her scar. And I knew that time was of the essence because it's better to treat it early. And a local dermatologist led me to Dr. Jill Weibel.
And what happened, Lucy, what happened when you went on the plane and you went to Florida and you they put the laser on your nose? What was that like? It was okay because you're here all well. How did she tolerate that?
She did. The laser itself, for the 60 seconds that it lasted was, it was brief. Let's just say that. But before and after, she's fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at her right now, and it looks absolutely incredible.
It does.
And are you done with treatments with the laser?
We have some more treatments left to go.
Okay.
Monthly treatments.
So it'll make that even fade even more.
Yes.
And we'll be talking to Dr. Weibel. And Lucy, how does it feel? Does your nose feel good? Does it hurt? It does feel good, okay. She's what, first or second, kindergarten?
Pre-K.
Pre-K, okay. And so what is the main lesson you want to get out to everyone about this whole thing you've been through?
Well, the benefits of hyperbaric oxygen are just unbelievable. And how underutilized the therapy is unbelievable to me. Wow. And the benefits of early laser, I believe.
know it's difficult what you've been through, but I'm hoping this segment will help so many other people out there going forward. Okay, there are 2 doctors who treated Lucy after that emergency surgery to reattach her nose at Manning Family Children's. And not only did they save her nose, but they have treated and saved patients from all around the world with multiple types of traumatic conditions. Joining me now is emergency medicine specialist Dr. Paul Harch of Harch Hyperbarics in Metairie, Louisiana. And joining us from Florida is Dr. Jill Weibel, owner and medical director of the Miami Dermatology Laser Institute. Welcome, Dr. Harch. I can't wait to hear about some of the details of the treatment, but let's start with you, Dr. Weibel. You have 65 lasers in your clinic, and what did this laser do that other doctors could not do for Lucy?
Well, it's a team effort, and one of the areas that I've been passionate about is scars. And so as you can see from the hyperbaric, you start with when you have an injury, it's a wound, and that's where you need matrices and hyperbaric oxygen and sometimes surgeries and wound vacs to heal the wound. But once you have a scar, which is usually anywhere from 1 to 3 months out, then the lasers are really first line therapy for scars. And because laser medicine is a subspecialty in dermatology, there's not great access everywhere, but we've proven over the past 15 years that lasers really can prevent scarring and treat scarring and are the gold standard for all scars.
Because this is not about just cosmetic. This is about, as Lucy's mom was talking about, where the skin was like kind of shrink wrapping. It was maybe growing extra scars as people who keloid, and it was actually interfering with function.
Yeah, these are called hypertrophic scars, and they're the most common after a burn or trauma. In this case, Lucy really had a necrotic trauma because she lost the blood supply, because the nose is what we call an in blood supply. So that necrosis, she wasn't being able to heal. Thank goodness Lucy's incredible, and her mom, and with the help of the hyperbarics, we were able to reestablish, or Dr. Herschel was able to reestablish the blood supply. But then you get a hypertrophic scar, and if it's around a vital organ like your eyes or your nose, you can have functional breathing issues. You can have difficulty working with your eyes. If it's at a joint, you can have difficulties using your hands, your arms. So it's very important that that restrictive hypertrophic scarring is treated by a laser to help improve it both cosmetically and functionally, and especially in a beautiful little girl's face.
You have patients who come literally from every continent except Antarctica, and people who have scars from terrible chemical wounds, industrial accidents. There are people war, people who've been through the horrors of war. And then of course there are many cosmetic reasons. I've interviewed patients even with acne scarring who don't go live their lives because they feel ashamed to go out with scarring. Tell me about the difference that it makes with using these treatments.
It's life-changing, and it's probably the largest market we have in lasers. The lasers can help. Most scars are a bad thing. Maybe the only good scar we see is a C-section scar, but most scars are associated with cancer or trauma or war, and so by erasing that scar on the body and improving it, it also helps with the emotional healing and the physical healing and even symptoms of the scar. A lot of scars are painful. They can itch and burn. So lasers have really changed medicine, and it's been an honor to be part of this journey. We started with the fractional lasers, are really what were the innovation that caused us to be able to treat scars, and they were invented for wrinkles, but they really are a game breaker for scars. But we use multiple lasers treating scars because every scar is different. So we'll use lasers to take away a red color or a brown color, to stimulate pigment, to help with, like in Lucy's case, smooth out and help with breathing. But it's very worthwhile. I love my job. I feel blessed that I can help patients every day.
Wonderful. And I know you've done you've published data, and you've had so many clinical trials. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's truly appreciated. And let me turn now to Dr. Paul Harch. So you've been doing hyperbaric medicine for decades now it seems like not only just on skin, to heal skin with diabetics and that type of thing, the traditional things we read about hyperbaric medicine, but traumatic brain injury, on war veterans, on stroke victims, on people who have long COVID. And you've kind of fought an uphill battle in all the different things that you say your research shows that hyperbarics can do that a lot of doctors are not 100% on board with?
That's a pretty accurate recitation of the history of this, yes. And the problem is the medical profession has not understood this therapy for 365 years. And it's always been a criticism. How could it be used for so many different things? There's no therapy in medicine that applies to so many different things. And the reason is it's a generic treatment. It treats essentially any wounding condition, internally, external wounds, and any condition where there's a reduction in blood flow and oxygen. And what it does is stimulate oxygenation and grow new blood vessels.
So when you're stimulating blood to the injured area,
it's bringing more oxygen, and that oxygen is helping it heal better, or even heal when maybe it would die. Is that correct?
Yes, and there are two parts to that. One is, as you see in the pictures, 20 minutes into the chamber, that whole cyanotic piece of her nose that had been sewed back on pinked up. So the oxygen we were dissolving in her blood was reaching these damaged areas. But that only stays for a period of time, 3-4 hours, and then it's gone. And what we did with Lucy was, the rest of the day when she's home, that's going to be cyanotic again. And of course, the longer
Which means
time
dying,
it is,
that it's
yes,
going to die?
meaning that purple blue without oxygen. And so I sent her home with an oxygen concentrator, and dutiful mom, throughout all of these nights was getting up and every 3 to 4 hours would oxygen it. And we were fortunate that oxygen was able to keep it alive. The hyperbarics every day stimulates a growth of new blood vessels. Finally, there are blood vessels in there, and it maintains its oxygenation.
And not only with traumatic brain injury and drowning patients who have lost brain tissue, are they being helped, but you're also helping cosmetic patients who have gone through cosmetic surgery to help with the scarring and the swelling.
Yes, and it works by some additional mechanisms, but the main way is it's reducing swelling. And if you take away the swelling, the blood flow and oxygenation improves to the wound, and they heal faster. Plus, we're stimulating growth hormones to be released into the wounds that also help heal the wound.
Interesting. And I know there have been a lot of studies published on the children who have drowned and came from all over the world to help save some of the brain. Some of the brain had died, but other parts of the brain were kind of on that sleeping, stunned mode, and that's helped to bring more blood to it and help those patients as well.
It stimulates them to function again. It in fact brings them back from near death, but makes them functional, and then they start acting like normal tissue. And in case of brain cells, they start sprouting, making more connections, and you restore function.
I hope medical schools will learn from this. Let's go to the Message Meg inbox from Bree from Bell Chase. Does insurance pay? So what about in your case, and then what about, Dr. Harch? There are cases where insurance doesn't pay.
Yeah, this is a major political, economic issue within the hyperbaric medicine field. And the type of wound that Lucy has falls into a category that is one of the reimbursed indications for hyperbaric oxygen. The problem is we don't bill directly insurance for various reasons. Mom ended up submitting it to them, and with the help of plastic surgeons, myself, all of the information came together, it got reimbursed.
Well, what about insurance with the laser part of it? Or did they say that's cosmetic, but her nose was closing up?
Well, I have not even embarked on trying to investigate that yet, because just to get this hyperbarics reimbursed was very time consuming. Yeah, I consider this part of it to be more cosmetic on the external surface of her nose, and the internal surface we're using a stent, which was provided by Shriners Hospital Burn Center, and it was handmade specifically for Lucy. Wow. This too is a new realm of, I guess so. They printed it with a 3D printer and then honed it by hand and gave it to us in Galveston.
To keep her nose opened and healing more smoothly, rather than the scar tissue kind of coming in on itself.
Yes, her pediatric plastic surgeon there who did her initial laser manipulated it while she was under general anesthesia and said it's critical to use a stent. And she's such a compliant patient. She uses it 24 hours a day since December 31st. She has not taken it out once. Good girl.
Yeah. Well, we will forgive her for not feeling like sitting up here with the grown-ups talking. But how long does she have to use that?
I don't know. I'm thinking when the outside of her nose is completely healed, the inside may also be healed. But wonderful. I'm just going day by day.
Wonderful to you both. Thank you both. It was Lucy's mom, Dr. Herbal, who messaged me about this story because she wants you, and especially other doctors, to be aware of these treatments to help others. If you have something you want to know about or share, message me at messagemegshow@gmail.com.
Now, after reporting on hyperbaric oxygen for decades now, especially on brain injuries, I can tell you there are respected doctors who believe in it and respected doctors who still question how far it can go. So make sure you get multiple opinions from specialists who know. And scars are more than cosmetic. No matter what they are from, they can make people withdraw from happiness in life. But as you can see now, there is help. Thank you for being with us. See you next time on Message Meg.